Welcome to the Hunt Test Hobo podcast, your place for truckside chats and insights into the retriever game. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned handler, this podcast is another resource for tips, tricks, and insights from both the amateurs and professional trainers' perspectives. Each week, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of retriever training, sharing stories of success, overcoming challenges, and forging stronger bonds with our dogs. This is the Hunt Test Hobo podcast. I'm Chris Rudd, your host, fellow retriever enthusiast, and student of the game. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Hunt Test Hobo podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Coates from Pitboss Waterfowl. He's a full-time guide and dog trainer, decoy carver, Instagram influencer, a lot of stuff. And I think it's going to be a really, really fun podcast as we get closer to the hunting season and we're bouncing between big national events and some folks getting ready for the waterfowl season. We're going to kind of be doing, obviously this is a hunt test podcast, but we will be jumping into a little bit of hunting and things of that nature. So Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. And Chris, I already told you, I don't know that I really qualify to be on the Hunt Test Hobo. The names, I follow along, weekly or as many times you post up, I follow along. And, some of the names you've had on, I've judged, but I don't think that I'm necessarily, to their level.
Well, sometimes it's not always about education, right? Sometimes about entertainment.
Okay.
Right. So hopefully we can entertain some folks today.
Let's do our best. I've poured a little bit of Crown Royal Black already, so I'm ready to go. All
right. Well, before you do that, I wanted to give the listeners a little bit of update. I know I've been talking about me moving, and I almost moved. It was really close, but I was supposed to close on my house today, but there was an issue with the well water that I found out yesterday. I had to have my own test done. It was a bunch of really sketchy stuff. So I'm not moving, which kind of completely disheveled my life again with all of this. And on top of that, I went hunting this weekend, which was awesome. I did my big UP trip up north for opening day of duck up there in the UP, and I swamped my phone. And if you've ever hung out with me, I use my phone for a lot of stuff. And it was hard, I mean, I'm sure you've, as a guy, you had these moments where, you get all set up, you get all excited, it's opening day, you're all like, everything's going good. And then you, like for this place, I've talked to another listener who actually did some teal hunting with, he knows all about this, but it's a long walk. I mean, this is like public land walking in, but I had an e-bike and carted in all the stuff. Well, we were 4 of us. And it took about 30 minutes per kayak to get it to the water. And so we were, getting all that gear down. Eventually, we just had to carry one of them down. And we had, I think it was like 5 dozen decoys. So it wasn't a terrible amount, but enough that like trying to kayak that in was a lot. So we get all set up. We're ready to go. I get out of my kayak because we had like this really nice Momarsh panel blind. Like standable legs, because we were in like some reeds, but it's like a bog. So then like on top of that, it's a bog. So you got to make sure you don't fall through. So we got this like panel blind against some reeds. It's going great. And then all of a sudden I just start to feel something running down my leg. And I'm like, oh no, these waders have a leak in them. So yeah, that was the start of this. And we did all right. We shot 7 birds, which wasn't great. But on top of that, I dropped my phone in. So I was feeling pretty like bummed that went the way it went, but it only got better. We had a good creek shoot we went out that evening. We shot all of our woodies, which was good. That was the first time I've ever got my limit of woodies. And then I had found a loaf of geese, and it was only like, I think it was like 60 geese, but I had been watching that because I went up like 3 weeks earlier. And we were like, I wonder if we can hunt these geese. And they were like in somebody's backyard. But they're coming into this like creek. And so like I knocked on their door. They're like, yeah, go for it. I was like, I couldn't believe it. So then we're like mad brushing in an A-frame because we watched them leave. And we're like, how long are they going to go feed for? So we're brushing in an A-frame. We get it set out. We throw out 14 geese. And then we waited like 3 hours. Of course, right? But man, they came back and they came back in 2 groups, unfortunately, but we dropped 8 out of the first group and 7 out of the second group.
Nice.
So
nice.
I was pretty excited. It was a great start to hunting season for me. I felt really good. The only funny dog thing that happened was, I was hunting Rex, and I don't know what you do about this. Like, this was like where hunt tests don't prepare you for it. Well, we had shot a mallard, and it fell about 90 yards, and it landed. So like the reeds were kind of coming out a little bit, and it just landed like maybe 5 yards behind the reeds to where the dog was going to have to like swim around, because it's a bog. Like, they can't get on top of this stuff. But it landed in the water behind. And as he was going to pick it up, he's hunting for a little bit. And then we have another duck fly, and we shoot that one. So it's a diversion on a bird that he's hunting. And I was like, whatever. I didn't even know if I didn't know if that bird was dead and it swam away. Like, I was like, whatever. So he picks up the bird that's literally 10 yards from us. And then we had other birds working, so I didn't really worry about him. I was like, he'll come back. He's picked up thousands of birds. Well, because he had marked that bird from that other spot, he picked up that bird and just started swimming with that bird back out there. And I didn't realize till he's like, I'm like, where did he go? And then I see the wake over by that duck. So I'm like, oh crap. And I can't walk across this at this point. Like, it's too deep. So I'm like, judging through the muck to get to a kayak, and I paddle. He had swam like 350 yards, because he's like, well, I don't know where he went, and so the dog just swam away. I'm like, that was pretty dangerous. Luckily, it was a small enough area that like, he's like, at some point I just like caught up to him, and I was like, hey, I'm over here. But anyway, that was a weird one. So I don't know. I don't think hunt test can prepare for that one. It wasn't a big deal. It worked out. On our way back, we found that other duck. It was good to go. So
nice.
That's a weird one, right?
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about my opener. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got into dogs, and anything else you want to talk about?
All right, well, very good. So our duck season does not open till the 12th of October. So we got a little ways to go. The countdown is on. Sometimes I procrastinate a little bit, and I work best under pressure, so it's kind of a little bit of a hustle here to make sure everything's ship shape and ready to go. But let's see. I'm Jeff Coates. I'm Lower Eastern Shore of Maryland, just outside Ocean City. This is my 25th year of guiding sea ducks full time here in Maryland. Lots have changed in 25 years. There used to be a special sea duck season that was 107 days long, 7 sea ducks. And when I first duck hunted in the 80s, duck season was a 30-day season with 3 birds, but sea ducks was 107. So lots of change over the years. They reduced the 107-day season to 60 days. That was a couple years, 6 years they did that. And then now in the Atlantic Flyway, there is no more special sea duck season. So whatever state you're in, when duck season's open, obviously sea ducks are ducks. So you're going to target them just like you would. They're going to count to your bag limit just like any other duck. So, so how did I get into dogs? I had a chocolate lab way back in the day. But in 2001, I came across this, like a friend of a friend kind of thing, came across this black litter. I had no idea about FC, AFC, NAFC, NFC, MH, anything else you wanted to put on the front or the back of their names. I just wanted a good dog. And anyway, long story short, I got a dog that was out of actually kind of a little bit of a famous breeding way back in the day, Lean Mac and Hattie McBun.
Oh, yeah. That's a big, yeah. Well, how long ago was that?
Well, the litter that Coot was whelped in 2001, so that would have been, those dogs were, so Coot was out of Dr. Feelgood, Bill Goldstein in South Carolina there. So and I just didn't know what I had, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like one of the most famous breedings ever. That like produced so many dogs.
Yeah, so Dr. Feelgood. I also had a pup out of Gates, High Tech CEO.
Yep.
Tiger McBun.
Tiger's the one I was thinking. I had a dog that was out of Tiger.
Okay, I was gonna say it was like Whitey 4. Mm-hmm. That was an FCA. There were 6 dogs, and only one didn't really do well. I think 7 come 11, or there was something like that. One didn't do very well.
Yeah, but I think that's like considered one of the most successful breedings that's like ever happened, I think.
Yeah. So again, I didn't really know what I had, and I'm sea duck hunting, so I'm she's 8 months old in the Chesapeake Bay retrieving sea ducks. She had to come back to the boat. There was no other place to go.
There's no other way to go. There's no cheating.
She wasn't force fed. She wasn't anything, right? Had a little piece of rope on her just so she didn't break. She sat in the back of the motor well, so she was away from everybody shooting, so she was by herself. But I really didn't understand really what I had. Matter of fact, I didn't force fetch her until she was 13 months old, and she was a master hunter at 25 months old. That kind of thing. And again, I just didn't really know what I had. Alex Abraham, if people will remember the old Avery Sporting Dog logo, Alex had a chocolate dog named Jackson, and happened right up at the C&D Canal, Chesapeake and Delaware, C&D, Chesapeake Bay, Delaware Bay. Alex and I would throw birds for Ed Forey, and after we were done, I love to take pictures, so we started taking pictures of dogs jumping. Basically, the original Avery Sporting Dog logo, the profile of the dog jumping, that was Alex's chocolate dog. So Alex,
and so you took that photo?
I did, yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's fun.
That was probably like 2003, 2004, somewhere there. There was a lot of the Avery packaging. I think there's a couple still around that. I had an old dog, Booger, but he was a puppy. But I think I still see his on some of the packaging way back in the day. But I took a lot of pictures, and a lot of the bumpers. The dogs were mine. So, but anyway,
Booger, was that dog's name Booger?
I had a dog named Booger. Yes,
dude, that's a great name. My friend Tyler Brenner is going to be listening to this. Booger, that's a good one. The only problem is it's so close to Back. Booger and Back might be a little close to each other. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, well, it was on my mind, but I went with it anyway. So
it's great. I love it.
So over the years, I've had a Coot. That was the Dr. Feelgood dog. Coot, Diamond, that I did not name because I got her a little bit late. That was the Gates High Tech CEO. She was named after Winchester Black Diamond 88. So Diamond. And then I had a young dog, Poacher, was actually out of a Hank McNeil breeding. Poacher, I bred Coot twice, and I wasn't going to keep any dogs, but I kept a male of the first litter of Coot. That was Booger. And then the second litter kept a female, and her name was Bristol. So those were the 5 blacks that I had back in the day. But yeah, so I just didn't really know what I had. And I trained with, again, I sort of got in with locally with Richard Barnes, who shot flyers for Ed Forey. And again, Alex and I would go to Richard's in the evenings and train, and eventually we kind of parlayed that into, hey, we can throw in the morning. We would train with Richard in the evening. We can go throw in the morning. So basically, 5 days a week, we trained for field trials. So I threw birds. Alex threw birds. Richard shot the flyer and or threw birds for Ed. And Ed had, truck and a trailer. He probably had a good 24, 26 dogs at that time. And we got to run ours at the end.
Awesome. So that's how you learn right there. I mean, anybody that's listening, that's the best way to do it, is to figure out how you can go throw birds for some pro, and hopefully the pro's good.
Yeah.
And he'll teach you something. It's good stuff. That's great.
Yeah, Ed had
I like your names. Like, I think those are some pretty, I don't know. They're unique. I like them. I really like Booger. Booger's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a good name. It's funny because like when you I don't know how you found the Hunt Test Hobo on Instagram, but you found it on Instagram, and you did something that I've found other people do, is like you just go and you liked every single thing I was doing. And I just like, my phone blew up, and I was like, who is this Jeff guy? And then it's a great social strategy. Like I have to I don't know where you learned that from, if you figured that one out yourself or somebody did it to you and they're like, I'm going to do that. But then I started looking at all this stuff, and I texted Tyler. He's like, you know who this guy is? And he's like, oh, dude, I follow him all over the place, And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, you should have him on the podcast. This was after episode 1.
Oh, really?
This. Yeah. He's like, you should have him on the podcast because I want to learn more about who this guy is. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like sometimes I just let him do these like special people podcasts where I'm just like, hey, the guy looks cool. Let's talk. Let's have some fun. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, this is the carving room. If I'm carving decoys or I'm painting decoys, I need noise. And, I came across, in Apple, I just started retrievers, whatever. And anybody that, anything that popped up. And I still do that today. If a new podcast pops up, try to follow along. And if there's, I listened to one today, and maybe this isn't a topic we should talk about, but they talked about unforced force fetch, which I thought that was kind of like.
I'll have to listen to that. Who did that one?
Gundog DIY.
Okay,
but I got a kick out of. They were calling it that they force fetched the dog with no force, which I just kind of like. Okay, just
okay. Well, I'll have to listen to it, and then I'll form my own opinion about it. But yeah, we can let that go because we've talked a lot about force fetch on this podcast recently, and I feel like people might want to listen to something else. So you've done some judging.
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, early on, kind of again through my dog guru Richard Barnes. He's like, hey man, like you need to get involved with this. You need to get back to the sport. And again, like it also makes you relevant that if you're running under other people, they realize that you judge too. So not that it's just a good thing. How about that should be said. It keeps you relevant, keeps you involved, and it gives you you're giving back to what you can't always take, right? So if you're just running your dogs every weekend, take, you got to give back some too. So
yeah.
But yeah,
that's definitely a goal of mine. I'm gonna try to this winter. If it all works out, like if my life stays as crazy as it is right now with this whole house and new job, which I'm loving my new job, but it's still a lot going on that's new. But if things settle down a little bit in hunting season, like I get into a little bit of groove, I really want to get the process going to be a judge because of that exact same thing. I've ran a lot of tests and I feel like I want to give back. I know I can do everything that needs to be done. I just need to go through that whole process. And I think I'm going to try to do episodes with the people who I go through that whole process with so people can learn. I'm going to do it obviously on the HRC side because that's what I'm most familiar with, but I might try to get somebody on the AKC side to talk about that because we all, like you said, we all should give back. We all should be doing our part. And we're also thinking about some of the folks in my area that are south of, because there's two really good sized clubs or one really good size up north of us at Whistle, but that's like almost 2 hours for me to get to. So I think some of us are going to form one further south. I'm going to talk about that whole process too, because never hurts to have more clubs doing more hunt tests. Because there for a while, it was really hard to get into an HRC test. I know it's still really hard to get into an AKC master test. But anyway, so the more we can do, I think the better it is for everybody in the dog world.
Agreed. In my area, AKC is most prevalent. And I mean, in the spring and just started up here in the fall, I mean, like every weekend, there's hunt test and field trials every weekend. Like it's not hard to find. One nice thing with AKC, they just changed up recently. So let me rewind. For field trial, all you have to do is take a written test. And as long as someone has at least the other person
has so many points. Yeah.
Right. The other person has 10 points. You can judge with them. Right. So I think I have 11 or 12 points currently with that. But it's always good. Right. So you're good to go. It doesn't really matter. AKC hunt test, you have to take a seminar, which I did originally. You have to have an apprentice and then you're good to go. But the seminar was for every 2 years. So I judged for 2 years.
And then you're done?
Well, I never went back and took the seminar.
Yeah. Like you become, not certified anymore or whatever.
Right. So they've changed the rule now that you're good for 4 years. So I just took a seminar back in August. Now I'm good for 4 years. So I feel a little bit, get into that. I've judged a SRS. I enjoyed that. That was a really good time.
Which one did you judge?
It was a club event out at Red Wing, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Man, that's a haul for you, isn't it?
I flew.
Yeah, well, it's still a haul. Going through that whole process. Cool. Yeah, I'm thinking I might be able to make it to the Minnesota ones now with my job change. This is something else that's going to be, I think, really fun I haven't done like any work really on the Hunt Test Hobo YouTube channel. I post the podcast there, and I have a couple hundred people that I think are listening to it there, which is great. Like, I'm glad I'm able to provide it there. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to buy, once my house closes and I get through all that crap and I can buy stuff again, because they're like, don't buy anything right now, Once I get through that, I'm going to buy a 16-foot trailer, and I'm going to make it so I can I want it to be a decoy trailer, because I'm primarily a goose hunter in fields. Like, that's just what I have around me. It's what I do. I like shooting those bombers. It's fun. So I want to be able to drive in my ATV with a decoy slit on the back and all my dive bombs and one thing and just pull off, because I go hunt before work. Typically I got to be to work by 10. That's why I'm able to hunt a lot. So I need a very efficient system to do it. So I want it to do that. I want it to be a mobile workstation for me. So I'm going to set it up to where I have a bed in there. I have an office area with 2 dual screen monitors. I'm going to get Elon's portable, like whatever that satellite internet is.
Starlink.
Starlink. Yep. It's $600 for the dish, and then you pay $150 month to month. I'm going to get that whole setup. And then I'm going to also be able to put my smoker. I'm going to buy a bigger smoker. I'm going to get like all that. I'm going to put a little kitchen in there. And then I can literally go to an SRS or anything, work with a background that looks just like this background, so nobody has any idea where I am, be at a test, and just run my dog and go back in there. And I'm just going to make, I said I'm going to make a nice sign that says, please forgive me. I'm not what's the word? He goes like, I'm not ignoring everybody else. I'm not being antisocial. I have to work to pay for this dog stuff. I'll see you on Saturday, or something like that.
Work to pay for your addiction.
Exactly. So I want to be able to be a mobile work area. I want it to be able to haul my ATV so I can go train anywhere I want. And then I want it to be able to have 4 beds in it. So my wife and we have a little pop-up camper, but I'm like, why don't I just make this thing set up so the bed can raise up, the ATV can go under it, and then we can go camping. So I'm hoping I can build all of this winter, and I can go down to Texas for spring grand training, come back up here, and then basically decal the thing, the Hunt Test Hobo, and like I can upgrade my Hobo mobile from my back of my truck to this. So I'm dreaming of that. I haven't got the wife to approve it yet, but if that happens, I will be at that SRS. That was the whole point of that. So I'm not sure you're going to judge it again, but I'm going to go.
Yeah. Nice. That sounds like a real good idea. So I'm in my carving room. We did a barn dominium here. The prior house where we lived, we had wood in the backyard, couldn't have a shed. Basically I carved, a lot of the stuff was in a 20-foot enclosed car trailer. Yeah. So I mean, I get 100% of what you're saying.
I think people would like to watch it too, like the hunting, maybe not the hunting people, but the hunt test folks would like to just like see me like trying to like struggle. I'm decent with tools, but like I'm gonna be figuring out and making a lot of mistakes as I go. So I think people will enjoy it, and we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
Back in the day, I did have a 8-foot CPH topper for the trucks that I had, and as I cycled through some of the dogs. Was a little dogless there for a short period of time. Sold the topper, and we currently got purchased a 1-ton Ford Transit that has they call it the trail package, which kind of makes it camper friendly. Like it's got dual alternators, dual batteries. It's kind of wired. It's a 1-ton. It's 4-wheel drive, and we put a bunch of kennels in it, and so it kind of has taken place of the topper, if you will. And we do like to drive and travel a little bit. We go to Canada. Each fall we go to Prince Edward Island, so it's just going to be easier on us, as well as the dogs are going to travel a little more comfortable with us.
So how many dogs do you have right now?
Too many. Too many.
Are they yours, or are you training for other folks?
No, they're ours. They're ours. There's my wife. She's since quit and kind of. I need her to help me be more productive. So I jokingly call this Pitboss World Headquarters. It's 8,200 square feet barn dominium. We live in it. It's 18-foot ceilings. You were talking about being able to back your ATV and trailer, and I like to back my truck in a 32-foot, the world's largest duck boat, into the shop. That's how this really all started. Was I wanted a place to keep that I could back my truck and whatever duck boat I had inside, and that's kind of how this all started. And it just
loving it.
It's gotten a little bit bigger as we've went along, but it's been a fun project, cool project. Is it done? No. Maybe it'll never be done kind of thing, but it's definitely much more comfortable. We miss the water. We miss living on the water 100%, but this is, especially with having dogs, this is much friendly. It's 3.5 acres. It's not all fenced yet, but it's much better for what we're trying to do. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. Like, man, I'd love to. We drove past something today, my wife and I, when we were just cruising, and she said, I said, man, I'd love to have something like that. She looked at this big barn dominium. She's like, what in the world can you fill with all of that? I'm like, no. Half of it will be our house. And she went, Oh, and that was it. So
Yep.
she wasn't feeling the same thing as I was feeling. I was like, oh man, but I think that would be cool. So
Yeah,
man,
it's been a fun project, but yeah, that's I don't know how I got on that topic. What
no,
did you ask?
dude, we're
Oh,
just
dogs. Yeah, so Karen quit. She's a registered vet tech. She still is in Maryland.
Okay.
She managed a couple hospitals along the way. That's how we really met. Because I would go to Hickory Veterinarian Hospital with 5 black labs at one time, kind of thing, and back in the day. But yeah, so the one dog is a boxer bully rescue. You know, she's got the soft spot in her heart. It was 2 years old. They brought him in to be put down. I do have a few scars on my hands from him because he's on the aggressive side. Loves women, doesn't like men as much. But labs. Rye is a 5-year-old. Rewind. Karen knew all my dogs. Sadly, she put them all down, but she never got to see any of them run. You know, she's seen some videos, and we did a DVD series back in the day. We did it. We had a TV show for 3 years, and Coot and Diamond were always, you know, way off in it and on it. It's called Ducks, Dogs, and Decoys. That was the DVD series. That was a TV show. And but anyway, long story short, after we put Booger down, he was the last one to go. That was in June, and June of 2018, 19, let's say. One of the 18 or 19, anyway. She's like, do you want a pup? Do you want a dog? Do you want a dog? And I was like, we were doing a lot of fishing in the ocean. Time was always of the essence. So I'm like, if you could find something out of Coot, maybe, but no. So she got on OFA, looked, found some dogs, but everybody's older, so we just kind of let it go. That was June. September, I got this phone call out of the blue. Hey, Jeff, why don't you come on down, man? All you do is buy a plane ticket to El Campo. We're going to shoot September teal. Come on down. The kicker is you need to fly in 2 days. And I was like, whoa, what? Like, and I had no idea who this person was calling me. Anyway, long story short, it worked out really well. Great time. I got down there. I'm around dogs, gunning over dogs. There's dogs at the duck camp. As soon as I get back in the airport, I get on with Karen. I was like, man, I want a dog. So it started this search. I had taken a little hiatus from doing, you know, training. So the only person I know still out there is, you know, that's in tune is Alex Abraham. So I call Alex. I think I texted you this. So way back in the day when he had his brown dog and I had Coot, we trained and did not have that much success. I did get Coot qualified all age, but I never finished an all age stake with her. And the joke was between Alex and I, man, if we had a half of an all age point, that would be like we had field champions, like who we were, what we were doing. That we would be we got a half of an all age point, you know, kind of thing. So Alex had, I'm sure somebody you may know too, a dog named Tucker. Tucker's 270 all age points kind of thing. Sadly, Alex just had to put Tucker down within the last couple months. And but we'll talk about that. Occasionally, Alex will bring that up. He says, "Hey, man, do you remember that time when, you know, we would just say if we had a half an all age point?" He's like, "Man, I had Tucker. I had 270 all age points. He's like number 27 all time, right?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, Alex, I still don't have a half an all age point, so I need a half an all age point."
That's good, man.
But anyway, I call Alex and he's like, "Hey, yeah, there's a guy in Connecticut. You know, he breeds a lot to Tucker, and you know, one led to another, and actually through Lisa Pavone actually took some pups out of my 2 breedings. I got a hold of her. She got me hooked up with Mike Barabee and in Maine, and we were headed to PEI to film for Drake's Migration Nation, excuse me. And like things that just aligned that the pups were old enough. We swung in, picked up Rye, and we went to PEI. So that was kind of a cool deal. But Karen wanted a dog to run in a hunt test. So I was like, look, no offense to anybody, but if a dog is a half of a dog, it can retrieve junior marks, right? I said the dog needs to be force fetched. It has you cannot pick, you know, deliver to hand. You can't pick the bird up off the ground. So I said, let me force fetch her and go run her in junior hunters, like have fun with her. So that was kind of the process. COVID was in there, so it kind of slowed us down a little bit. And so anyway, finally get Rye ready to go. The first junior hunt test, Karen, now I'm too nervous, you run her. So I ran her. The next one was a double, so I got to run her in one. Karen ran her in one at the same day, so we got past that. And then the next one, Karen felt good enough to run her on her own. And actually, Rye ran better for Karen than me. And she passed her, and she's like, "This is great, man. Like, what can we do next weekend?" I said, "We can't do anything next weekend." Like, I started back to the pile, but she can't run a blind, like, nothing.
Oh, that's super cool. That's super cool that she got hooked that quick.
Yeah, well, she's all about what we do,
So this anyway. Was like back in 2020, you're saying?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20. I think 20. I'm going to say 2018. 2018 was when we got.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said it was during COVID, so that's why.
Well, right after COVID, so it'd been 2021. Let's say 21 is 21, 20. Yeah, 21 is when she that's when we ran her, and we did it in the fall. It was the kind of thing where, again, Karen, wanted to make sure that she didn't mess up, and like she was just very conscious about everything. I was like, Karen's a junior hunter. Just when the dog comes back, just grab the bird out of her mouth. Like, don't mess around with her.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that I started in junior hunter for that reason. It gets people hooked. Like, that's cool. Like,
yeah,
that's 100%. Really
cool. Little side note to that: when I took the seminar recently, the AKC rep was very much on, like, when you judge junior, like, you need to put on the smile, the face, be happy. These are very young dogs. Maybe these are people that are brand new to the sport. Like, we need to get them in. Like, so, like, bend over backwards for these people, make them feel welcome, answer every question they have, and try to help them to succeed, because that's going to be the future of the dog game, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so that entry level dog, that kind of thing. But
yeah. So where you going? What's your goals with your dogs?
So Rye, we bred Rye with a local Doug Heyman's Ranger Danger. We chose him. He's a FC, AFC, but he was all amateur trained, right? So Doug did it all himself, and he's close by, so we bred with him. So how many dogs do we have? So Rye's a dog. We just bred her, and the plan was to keep a female. That was the plan. So I picked my female. There's 3 females out of the 9. So I got my female picked out. Karen starts looking at the purple collar. She says, "Hey, I want the purple collar, a male." I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. We did that. We built this to have dogs." At 8 weeks old, so Rye, we kept a male named Proof. He's 107 proof. We have a female named Mash, Sour Mash, and then we have a male named Elmer T. Lee for straight bourbon whiskey, Elmer T. But Mash broke her foot at 8 weeks old pretty severely. Kind of right in the ankle on a growth plate, and Karen just didn't feel like I don't think she's going to overcome this. And she said, "I know you really want a retriever." And at the time, Elmer T, the yellow collar, was still left. He was like the star pupil, what we were doing. So she's like, "Let's keep 3." So anyway, we ended up keeping 3 puppies out of that.
Okay. What was it like having all 3 of those at the same time? What was the challenges? Because some people ask me, should I get 2 dogs of the same litter? And most of the time I say no, for a couple of reasons, but I'd like to hear how that went for you.
So I've heard that too. Like, they're gonna kind of bond with each other and not bond with us. I have not found that to be true. They've definitely, our dogs, when we dog train, I mean, get ready to train, they're ready to go. So they're very much people dogs. They, I can't say that they bonded with me more than Karen. But this is what I tell people. I said this at a hunt test last week, and people asked us about that. Whatever, you keep one dog, whatever that one dog is, however much craziness, however much, whatever that dog brings, it's times 3, right? That is the challenge. It's just, okay, you got one puppy that's crazy and chewing and whatever it's doing, well, times 3.
Yep.
And that's to me is the biggest thing that I've noticed is it's just 3 times the effort, 3 times the I say craziness, but whatever, 3 times the energy and anxiousness of puppies being puppies.
Yeah. So do you keep them separate a lot, or they together? Like, how do you manage that?
From 8 weeks, when everybody left, they are crated every night, but generally, free range, pretty much. Again, inside or outside, everybody. They do get a little stupid and crazy that they're going to hurt each other. They just get so wound up. I told somebody today. So a friend that kept he got a mail from one of us. He fishes, and the dog's name is Gaff. So like the big hook that you would gaff a fish with for ocean fishing. But I told him, Jimmy, I was like, man, they're like crazy. He's telling me about Gaff. I'm telling him about mine, or ours, I should say. I'm sorry, Karen. But a downspout on one of the posts that goes around the porch actually, I think, saved somebody, because they hit that thing so hard that they smashed the downspout in that they would have hit the post. You know, they're just crazy. You know, they're American dogs that have a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, you can I'll say this, my opinion about this, and you can choose to disagree with me or whatever.
Oh.
but and for the record, somebody asked me about this, and I said this is a do as I say, not as I do situation, because my caveat to all this is we bred Winter. Right after that, I found out the other dog I was on a list for from Lonnie came into heat a week after Winter. So I was like, well, I can't really. I assumed they were going to be more spread apart than that, but they weren't. So I'm going to end up with two dogs at the same age, within a week of each other. And I've done this one other time, and it didn't go well. Well, I shouldn't say it didn't go well. One of them was significantly less promising or just was not as good of a dog, and I ended up washing that dog out. And the other dog was Winter, so it wasn't, you know, it was when I got Winter, I had another male that was maybe a month older, and it was really hard because there was two dogs that were kind of at the same level, and I compared them a lot, and it made me not like the one dog because it wasn't as successful as the other. And what I've learned with more experience is that they just mature at different times.
I'll go with that.
And it taints your opinion of them, whether, like, in a sense, no matter how hard you try, depending on the person. Now I'm hoping that I've matured as a dog trainer now, that I can just try to treat them as individuals. The other thing I'm doing is I'm going to, and this is what I did with Winters, I try to keep them very separate from each other, at least until they're 8 to 12 months old. You know, when, you know, they're crated, they have their individual playtime. I do introduce them to other puppies, or other dogs. Like I want to do like Dan Erke talks about the sevens, where it's like you want to go to 7 places, be with 7 people, meet 7 other dogs, walk on 7 different surfaces, take 7 different car rides, all within the first, I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks of their time being home, because that's when you're doing your most important socialization. So I will still introduce them to other dogs, but it's hyper controlled. It's not just letting them roll. And then the rest of their time is just with me and my family, and it's very controlled, and I'm working. And because I want those dogs to think this is like the only way I can access a good time is through Chris. Okay. Now, not saying that that's the right way to do it. I'm just saying that's the way that I found a lot of success, because I've seen a few times with other friends of mine where they let the dogs play with other dogs a lot and be crazy. And what happens is then if you go to try to work them, they don't find that as interesting. And it takes a lot longer for them to realize that, you know, other things are more fun than anything else, like birds. Now, that sometimes doesn't happen. Like, sounds like with your dogs, they're crazy. They love to work. They love feathers. You're good to go. But that doesn't always happen that way. And so I try to be very cautious about that. Not saying what you did is wrong. I want you to know that. No. I'm just saying, like, I try to lead on the other side of that side of it. So, and the nice thing is yours are all from the same litter. So potentially they have a lot more of the same characteristics, and you're not comparing them quite as much.
Yeah, we definitely, so we just won't talk about force fetch, but they're off the table, and now we're in the yard, and it is interesting, you know, the way that in my mind, Karen stood over my shoulder, and or we like to do videos, so she's taking lots of videos and we do stuff. So like in my mind,
I love watching, by the way. You're talking about your Instagram videos?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So follow Jeff. It's the Pitboss Waterfowl on Instagram. It's awesome stuff to watch. You know, just feel like you're in the community of doing retrieving, and he's carving stuff all the time. So anyway, keep going.
All right, thank you. So in my mind, like I'm being impartial, and I'm trying to do everything the same with them, and it is definitely interesting how quickly, you know, one picks this up, one picks that up, one doesn't like to do this, one doesn't like to do that. Put them on the ground, and man, the 2 males, they're like, they're go, 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 go. And the female Mash, she wasn't quite that excited about retrieving things off the ground, all outside in the yard. They're with Karen, I definitely say, somebody's doing better than the other. We should sell that one, or we should get rid of this one. She's like, no, we can't do that at all. No, we can't do that. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So puppies, I've always heard that too. And it's definitely been on my radar about, like, are they just going to be attached to each other, imprinted on, bond with each other versus us. And I just haven't, again, they're definitely amongst each other. Like they want to, they take turns of who's going to be the dominant one. The Mash is humping, the female's humping the boys. The boys are humping her. It's just, it's that kind of thing where it's just a free for all as far as when they're playing with each other. But like as far as training and things go, they just turned 7 months. We do stuff haphazardly. Proof, the oldest, or not the oldest, he's the biggest, not the oldest, excuse me. He has a junior pass already. The other two weren't ready to go, but I was kind of like, broke a little bit of a rule, but I was like, Karen, I think it was a double. I was like, I think I can get him through a junior. I said, it's not going to be pretty, but I'm just going to grab the bird from him. We train with birds. He's retrieving. He's coming back. And there was a double junior one, dead bird, come right back, got the bird. Like we've been doing this for quite a long time. He wasn't 7 months old yet. Set him down for the flyer. Goes out there. I can see the flyer wing. He hunted and hunted and hunted and hunted and hunted. Eventually, there's some geese on the pond, so he checks out. And he's down in, he turned the landmark into a watermark because he got wet.
Oh, boy.
So the first one we didn't get past, but the second one, he went out 1, 2, 3, 4 marks, and we got a ribbon with him. So, but there's at the end of the month, there's a double junior coming up, and I think we're going to enter all 3 of them and see if we can't get them.
Cool.
One thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I was just saying, good luck. That's all I was going to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. One thing in all this, man, I'm like, my beard's got some weight in it, does it not?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to be here next month. I don't know I'm going to be here next month, so I need to do today what I want to do. So I don't, when I was 28 and 30 years old, hey, yeah, we got a lot of time ahead of us, right? And I still hope I have lots of time into the future, but at the same time, man, I need to get stuff done today, just because there's no guarantee I'm going to be here again. I want to be here next month, but there's nothing that says I'm going to be. So we try to, I guess. My mother's 90 years old. She happens to live here with us too, and she would tell you that I say that just to justify what I want to do.
well, I mean, there's truth to that, right? Like, I mean, if we're not happy with these dogs, then why are we doing this? If these dogs aren't bringing us joy, like, what are we doing? And it seems like that's what you found, and that's what's most important. Doesn't matter if they get, a Grand Hunter Retriever Champion title or they pass the Master National, like, in the end, like, do we enjoy each other? Yeah. That's what it's about, and that's what's cool. And for you, it seems like you're doing a lot of this because, I mean, I'm assuming for the guiding.
That's how it started, 100%. That's how it started. Diamond and Coot were always with me every day. Retrieve, especially in the beginning. It was a 107-day season. Coot had they both had a lot of retrieves, and a little saltwater goose called a Brant. There was many years in there that the limit was a 60-day season, 3 birds. So Brant and Scoter, we shot a lot of those, and I guided a lot for that. So that was they were always with me. And the question I always had, even on the Chesapeake Bay before I was in the ocean, man, aren't you worried about a shark? No, man, it's wintertime. This is Chesapeake Bay. I'd always come up with all these different little
excuses. Yeah,
little answers to them, right? It was 2013. Diamond and Coot were retired. Diamond was not with us, but Coot still was. And the first litter, Booger's retrieving. He was probably about 7 years old. And it was in the 3rd week of December. I'm in the Atlantic Ocean off Ocean City. My duck boat is 25 feet long at the time. And the tiger shark was half the length of the boat, and never contacted the dog, but was within 40, 50 yards of the dog. And that was the last time I took a dog in the ocean.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. So
Yeah.
the shark, was he pursuing the dog?
Nah, I wouldn't say that necessarily, but he was kind of cruising through the decoys. Like it was, and as I recall, it was a volley of 5 birds go down, 2 are dead in the decoys. With sea ducks, quite often, there's a high rate of birds that are not dead. So we go around, chase them. I remember shooting 3 of them on the water. When Booger went out to retrieve one, they bleed a lot. One of them guys even said, "Hey man, it looks like a shark attack," kind of thing, And we kind of went back to the decoys to pick up the other 2 birds that were in the decoys dead. And there was kind of like this. I did not see a fin, but it was just like this, maybe like a 12-foot John boat was just like capsized just under the surface of the water. Something very big that I like in my mind. I don't want to hit this with the boat. Like I don't know what it is. And we'd seen lots of dolphin or porpoise all morning long, and we get closer to it, and like somebody's like, "Hey man, cool! Look, it's a dolphin." Except it was, it was doing this.
That, yeah.
And somebody's like, "No man, that's a shark," and you could like clearly see the tiger stripes on the thing, and it was like a 55-gallon drum in the water. Like it was just, it was big.
That's scary.
Yeah.
And so no more dogs out in the ocean, which makes sense.
I haven't, no. I had a lot of people send it to me last year. I just don't want to read it. It's easy to Google to find it, but in Nova Scotia last year, a great white killed a black lab, and again, I didn't read it. I really don't want to, but evidently the dog wasn't 100% dead when it came back to the guy. So the shark had hit it, kind of opened it up, and the dog bled out. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the current dogs we have are more to like, let's go have fun with.
Yeah.
PEI with the different hunts we do there. Yes, they'll retrieve birds. Brant, there's hardly any Brant around anymore, but Brant, I'd still take a dog to retrieve Brant. But basically, the dogs we have right now are to go have fun with at hunt tests. And again, like I said, man, I still need half of an all age point. So somewhere
keep chasing it, man. Keep chasing that all age point. Oh man, that's cool. It sounds like you've done a lot of different stuff in the dog world and in the waterfowl world, which you have a really good sized following. So I'm sure that people have just been following you for a long time. So I think that's pretty cool.
Did you just call me old?
Yeah, I get. You called yourself old before.
That's what I do.
You can't put that on me.
So go ahead. Sorry. So in all this, there's another black female, and that's the Scoter dog. She's just 19 months old, and so in between Rye and all that stuff we did, we're trying, like much like you're saying, hey, trying to sell a house. We were trying to get this built. Trying to juggle money around. We needed to get the other house sold. And so I mentioned Dr. Feelgood. I'm sorry, Gates High Tech CEO. Retriever results email I get, right? Her last name is Connie Sloan in South Carolina. Anyway, here's a litter. There's a male and a female. And it must have been frozen semen, but the sire is Gates. So I'm like, I called her. She's like, no, like the female, it's just gone. The female's gone. And I told Karen about that, and she knew that I was upset about that. And but she was on board with getting a second dog. So I'm sitting here carving decoys one afternoon. She was still working. She texted me this link to a litter, which happens to be Mike Baraby's litter. And I looked at the pedigree. I was like, oh my goodness, Gates is a grandsire in this. Alex Abraham's dogs are in here. Newt Cropper's got a dog in here. This is like all people from my area. I was like, wow. Like Karen had the wherewithal to see that Gates is in this breeding, in the pedigree. And she gets home and she's like, I said, that's great, Karen. Thank you very much. She's like, no, it's just, I didn't see that. It's Mike's litter and I know you want a dog. So, there's one, he says there's a female. So I call him up. I say, Mike, tell me about this female. I said, I mean, I want an energy dog. If there's an alpha, that's what I want. And I said, tell me about her. He's like, no. He's like, it's the spot. Like nobody's picked any dogs yet. And I thought I was going to go to Maine to get the dog. He happened to be it was wintertime. He happened to be in Thomasville. So he's like, no, man, I'm down south. He's like, got a friend that's going to go to Massachusetts. He's like, I'll got a nice dog for you. I'll pick one out and you'll have a nice dog. So anyway, that was the Scoter dog. So, got her in the program, ran her.
Is she the one that you just put a Master Hunter title on? Didn't you just? You got to pass though. You got to pass.
Yes,
that's what I saw. Yeah.
Yep. That's her. So she's a littler dog. Basically on Instagram, pretty much all the videos, unless it's a puppy, it's Scoter. So she just turned 19 months old. Again, I train daily with people that have all age dogs. I don't really train for hunt tests, and she cannot run a blind worthy of a qualifying stake yet. So like Master Hunter is like, I can go run her a Master Hunter kind of thing. So
yeah,
that's what we've been doing. And hopefully, if we get her straightened out a little bit more, come springtime, be able to maybe run her in a qualifying stake. I just told Karen there's the Maryland trial in 2 weeks. The Open's only 25 dogs. I say only, but it's only 25 dogs. And I think the amateur's 27. And I think, man, if she was a little bit further along, all she needs to do is finish. So I get her qualified all age, and then if she could finish the all age stake and keep her going. The same weekend, the queue has like 47 dogs, something like that. So and there's only I think 10 in the Derby, but yeah, I don't know. We're going to see. You asked like what my intentions are, and we're just going to see where we can go have fun with these dogs, and that type of thing.
Well, that's cool. Keep chasing that half a point, man. So tell me about the decoy carving. We keep hinting at that, and I've seen you do a ton of that on Instagram. Man, that's nice. So are you actually taking those hunting, or are those just
this is a blue. Actually, there's ashes in this one, so this is an urn.
Oh, an urn for a dog.
Yep. But no, I mean like over my shoulder, right there. There's some of the ones that I would use daily. Yes, and then right outside, I'm painting a bunch of surfs and common Scoter. So yeah, I've been hunting over hand carved decoys maybe the last 15 years, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So are they always the ones that you've carved?
Or good friends of mine. Yeah, it depends on what we had going on. Yeah, like certain. There's a bunch right here in my head that are I asked a good friend, hey, can you make me one? I gunned over for a little bit and then retired it. That kind of thing. But yeah, I've been much again. The back in the day, it was called the thing we did was called ducks, dogs, and decoys. So it's just kind of been my lifestyle. I was born in Havre de Grace, Maryland, the self-proclaimed decoy capital of the world, right on the headwaters of the Chesapeake Bay on the Susquehanna Flats, where stink boxes and market gunning and all that took place. It's just kind of been definitely for the last 25. Pushing 30 years, it's been what I've been doing. Way back in the day, in a different life, I was married. My first marriage, I like to say that was a different lifetime ago. But I got into guiding just because I didn't want a real job. I kind of tried to conform. We had a family business, and I was trying to do all the right stuff and do the right thing, and it didn't really work out that well, or at least not. In my mind, didn't work out the way that I wanted to. So this is maybe a little bit of a rebellious, streak in me that I'm just going to go off and do something, do something on my own that I like to do. And the guiding thing is just really, with the internet, especially, back in the day, nobody was online. There's a lot that we could go off on this, kind of tangent there, but maybe I was just at the right place at the right time 20 some years ago. Donald Hughes was my sea duck mentor, my technology mentor in 1995. He told me, man, this is the internet. You need to learn this. This is the way you're going to promote yourself. And again, this was before little picture icon on Facebook or whatever. And you just load a picture up. I was taking pictures on film. Two days was fast. You had to go get them developed. Right?
I love it.
You had to load them into a scanner. So now you got a digital file. So what do you do with it? You go and load it on a server. So now it's got an address. But because there's not the little picture icon, you had to know HTML code.
Yep.
Brackets, HTML. He taught me that. So I'm posting up pictures in the late 90s that somebody said, hey, we shot 200 stogies this morning. I was like, well, we shot 20 and here's the picture of the 20 that we shot, kind of thing. So that was he taught me a lot. I'd say this often. You and I would not be talking if I did not know or did not meet Donald Hughes back in 1994, because he put me on this path of where I'm at today.
Yeah, that's super cool. The waterfowl world is surprisingly small. As I get doing more podcasts and getting connected with more people, I'm like, oh, this person, and you doing your show, that whole industry is everybody knows everybody. It seems to me, maybe it's not that way, but it seems like it is. And I have this is one small world of waterfowl and decoys combined. This is my little story. Well, when I was growing up, my grandfather was super involved in DU. My dad really wasn't. He kind of deer hunted a little bit, but we never went waterfowl hunting or anything. Well, but my dad would always go to the DU banquets, like when I always went as a kid, and I don't remember much about it besides I got to like pick things that my dad would bid on. Like that's all I remembered. Well, one time he bidded on this decoy it was a pintail. It was kind of an interesting, it wasn't like super realistic. It was kind of like it was a lot of wood was still in it, and it was like stained colors and such. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I grew up with this decoy. Like I wasn't allowed to play with it, but I was allowed to shoot it with rubber band guns and do all these things like that kids would do. And I'd like set it up like I was fake duck hunting for it and all these things. Well, one day I was hunting with this guy in my hunting club, and we've been hunting together for probably a year now. And we got talking about decoys. And he's like, yeah, I carved, and everybody was like, he said he carved. And then all of his buddies were like, no, he's really good, like competitive, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he showed me some pictures. I was like blown away. Well, I just happened to be at my dad's house that night, and I flipped over the decoy, and he had carved the template for DU back in the day. So for my entire like childhood, I had played with this decoy that my now friend, his name is John Gerwith, was the one that carved this template for DU, and then DU mass produced it. So he didn't carve that specific one, but it was his template. And I just thought that was so cool.
That's a cool story, 100%.
He lives right down, he lives 40 minutes away, and we hunt all the time. And, at the time I was 32, and, he's not a spring chicken, but we're hanging out together hunting, and I've had this little piece of his life, around me the whole time. I just thought that was so cool. But
that is that is 100%.
So anyway, that's I like decoy carving. I like decoy carving way more than I like taxidermy in the house. So I know that there's people that love taxidermy. I'm just like, nah, it's not really for me. But I'm going to have John do an urn, because that's what he does a lot now. He's retired. He only does it for like just his good friends. So, I mean, it sounds like you do that too. Do you do that commercial like for people or?
Yes, that I would 100%. I won't take camera out. Anyway, right on the other side, there's 40 green wing teal lined up that are about 98% finished painted. There's 50 Scoter, my 50 Scoter, some widgeon sitting there, blue wing teal. Excuse me. Karen doesn't like when I say it, but I'm kind of a degenerate decoy carver because, like, I'll make it for you. Yeah, I'll make it for you. And like, I know there's blue wing teal. It's the second I have a deposit. It's 2 years that I haven't got them done for the guy. I even offered to give him his money back, and he's like, "No, man. I see you're making this green wing teal." He's like, "I'll take 6 of those. I'll send you more money so I get the teal." I was like, "No, we're good. Like, let me get them all done, and I'll
So they're using those to hunt, or are those urns?
Yes. Okay, no, they're using them here. Yep, they're using them to come over.
Cool. That's awesome.
I think sometimes people like especially the Scoter, like once they're gunned over, they got some use on them, a little bit of steel shots in them, and they're rusting and all. Like people just, hey, I just want one for my man cave. I just need one, kind of thing. Yeah. So it's just there's people that just want to collect them, to have one, but then at the other time there's people that definitely, they like to put their dog in it so they can take their good dog and still hunt, and or just make a rig up. So. We're going to go up to PEI late this year.
Oh, cool. So they actually use the decoys once they make it a little part of an urn. Oh, that's really cool. I never thought about that. These ones are just sitting on the mantle.
So the fella did this one. He has a 12 gauge shell. I think he did 30. Basically, he put the ashes in a empty 12 gauge hull, crimped it, hot glued it so it's sealed up, and he gave that shell to, I think he said 30 different people. And so he's got a rig of bluebill. His dog was named Bailey, and he's got a rig of at least 30 bluebill. That Bailey's ashes, a portion of Bailey's ashes, are in all his decoys.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. That was his concept of like, hey, I just want to, however much the shell holds, that's what I want. Can you put the shell in? Can you put the hull in the decoy for me?
Yeah. So, wow. Yeah. Wow. We had some really cool conversations tonight, man. That was fun. And this was cool because I don't know much about you besides I follow your Instagram, And I was like, at some point, I'm like, I'm going to have this guy on the podcast. So I appreciate you with late notice jumping on. So I just really appreciate it. So tell people how they can get connected with you and follow you on all the stuff you're doing, whether it's dogs, decoy carving, or guiding.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty easy to find. Any of the social media outlets, Pitboss, Pitboss, Waterfowl. If you Google my name, Jeff Coates, Coats, I pop up pretty easy. Any phone number you see, it's my cell phone. I'm pretty good at answering tech. You know, obviously my phone's on text or talk. I'm pretty accessible, and it's just this is pretty much ducks, dogs, and decoys is what I do, all year long. So.
Well, you're gonna have to add, like, I thought you were Pitboss originally because the first couple of videos I saw were you cooking, and I was like, this guy's my hero. He's a cooking Pitboss. And then I realized, I'm like, oh wait, maybe this is actually like about hunting out of pits. I'm like, I'm not sure if it's which one it is.
Yes. So Pitboss, 7 letters in Maryland. The vanity tag is 7 letters. The tag on my truck it's really a goose hunting reference. But yeah. The tag on my truck's been Pitboss since about 1991, I think it is.
Okay.
But through that, I had a little bit of relationship once in there with Pitboss, the pellet grills.
Yeah.
Can you
get them to sponsor me? Because that's what I use. I'm a Pitboss pellet guy, and I have a Pitboss griddle. I'm all ready. I just need the $5 sponsorship. That's all I'm asking for. Or they can send me a bag of some really good pellets. Like I'd take that as a sponsorship.
COVID messed up my deal there, but currently we're on a camp chef at the moment. But
okay.
But no, man, we love to cook. We love to cook. We love to eat. We love to drink, and just have a good time. So it's again. We get older each day. So anyone younger out there than me, I would tell you, man, like take advantage of what you got today because tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yeah. So you like your camp chef though? You like them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've looked at them. I'm considering when I buy my bigger pellet smoker, I'm thinking about them.
Yeah, so we did it's a 36 Woodwind Pro. I'm sure they all have Wi-Fi connect now, but I mean, like literally, you can run the thing from your phone. Has the side burner, the sidekick. There's a burner on the side. It's propane. You can still do whatever you want to do on the side still, but no.
Make your mac and cheese for your pulled pork. That's what I do.
There you go. That's what you can do. Yep.
Nice. Cool. Well, Jeff, man, I appreciate it. This was really, really fun for me. I hope you had a good time too. We didn't talk about a ton of dog training techniques or nothing, but I just think people would enjoy this one. So appreciate it.
If I could, just real quick.
Yeah.
I will say from 2001 to 2024, I had a little break in between, man, stuff has like totally changed. The way what I was led to believe and how people trained then to what takes place today, man, it's a big difference.
What would you say the big difference is? I think I know, but I'm curious.
I think, and maybe I don't want to shed light on anybody I trained with, but it was almost more like it as I recall it was almost more like we tested daily versus maybe not trained daily.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
We never repeated marks. Never. And current day, I'm training with some people and you get on the radio. You want to rerun that? I was like, can we? Yeah, let's do it. Like, let's do it again. And we don't get it right, let's do it again. And like, it's just totally different again. Maybe it's just a different people, but I do remember like you never reran marks. Like that was like move on. Like we're going to keep moving. Let's go do something else. That kind of thing. And drills just didn't seem to be in vogue as much as what I've been doing recently.
Yeah, well, I think it is a lot harder now from what I hear. Like the test is a lot harder, so I think there's a lot more drills to maintain those things to not mentally wear the dogs out in just like screwing something up over and over and over, like just simplifying it through drills. But the other thing you said about rerunning marks, I think we've just gotten a lot better at understanding how dogs learn and making sure that, because the reason you didn't, and just for people who are listening, the reason people didn't rerun marks was not because they were lazy. It was because they believed like a cardinal sin in field trials in AKC and in HRC really is returning to an old fall. And so if you don't teach them not to do that, if you don't teach them that they can't return to an old fall, if you didn't have that mechanism, the only way that they did that is you never reran a mark, so they never returned to an old fall, and they just wouldn't let that happen. That was the main reason that you didn't rerun marks. But I think we've learned through other drills and teaching them selection and doing all these things that we've learned that we can teach dogs faster by teaching them what they did wrong with that mark, and then also teaching them that, like, hey, in a different scenario, in a multiple, you can't return to an old fall. You just can't do it. And we've gotten much better at doing that. So that was just to fill in a little bit about what you're talking about, the differences over the years. I just wanted the listeners to understand why that kind of was. And you can add anything else to that if you deem it appropriate.
No, I agree with you, but again, like my mindset was I'm training with people that running all age marks, all age dogs kind of thing, and again, like Scoter was young, she was basically just through swimming by. She was the youngest dog in the group, 100%. And they're like, hey, gonna rate it. Hey, Jeff, do you want to rerun that? I was like, yeah, can we? Like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we'll do it. Let's do it 3 times. Like, let's get her out here. Let's make sure that she gets the concept that she has to run whatever the factors were, that she gets out here. Let's make sure she gets out. And a couple times, I'm going to train with a fellow tomorrow. He just got his FCAFC, and like he'll be out there for me, and 300 some more yard mark. He's like, if you want, I'll just keep throwing bumpers, make sure she gets out. Yep, Tom, do it. Do it. Yes.
Yep, that's fire drill that sucker. Yeah. Keep it going.
But we would have never done that. When I was training Coot and Diamond, that was never done.
I think we understand that dogs have to succeed to learn. And that's the reaction to that, is that either popcorning it, fire drill, it goes by both names, where you're throwing multiple bumpers en route, where you're repeating a mark to help them understand the factor. All those things, just the dog is imprinting success on themselves and then realizing that's how I do this correctly, which is really, really good.
And if I get one more minute. Going. So the other thing I would do now, and I didn't understand it then, but I do now. So I go do these setups, and they're like, Jeff, is this okay to do? I was like, man, you set it up. I'll run it however you want. So maybe they'll run a water blind where they're going to go over 2 points or go over an island and a point. With Scoter, I don't want to get her. I don't want her to get on land. I will, like, the line of the blind is here, but I'm going to run her down here so she stays in the water the whole time. And at the end, I'll cast her and let her get the bird. But I'm not. I guess what I'm trying to say is I readjust for her what I want to get done. But back in the day, I would have tried to do exactly what everybody else did, right?
Yeah, you 2 things there, right? You're going to do everything that everybody else is doing. And 2, you're running a test blind, not a training blind. Yep. And where the dog is in its stage of understanding is that you're trying to teach it at this point in its life, stay in the water.
Yep.
It's a good thing to stay in the water. And eventually you're going to have to balance that out with getting in and out, but that's not where you're at. But you're doing the thing appropriate for your dog. And I think that's a really good point. And I think I'm planning to do a podcast here soon. I'm just trying to get schedules to work out with Dan and potentially Tyler, where we're going to do a how to train in a group and talk about, this is going to be one of the topics, is that it used to be people just like, hey, this is what we're running. You got to run that setup. And it's almost like I want to do this like public service announcement. Stop training in groups the wrong way, because it's just 100%. Like it's terrible for everybody. It makes the people who aren't experienced feel like they're not good enough, and then their dog fails and everybody's unhappy, and it turns into this bigger thing. It's like, hey, just everybody stop, slow down, and work the dog that's in front of them. The whole group needs to understand that, and everybody's going to be happier and more successful. Like, my training group is awesome. Like, I love it because we're all like-minded. Like, we have no problem in the middle of a setup where we're like, wow, can't believe this dog's screwing it up. Everybody stop what you're doing. This is what we're focusing on right now. And it might be that we spend 30 minutes with working on this one dog, and we change the way we're like, okay, guys, everybody else get out of the way. Like, we don't need this dog looking at anything else. They need to look at just this mark, or, hey, we're going to rerun this twice, or we're going to simplify it at one point. Then we're going to get further back so that we're teaching the full concept we were trying to, and if it takes 30 minutes, we all understand that's what we have to do. You have to teach that dog what it needs to learn right now. And, we just try to make sure that it's not every single week or every single day, that same dog is taking all the time, because then we're just saying, okay, guys, we're pushing this dog too hard. But when that happens, we work through it. And that's what I wish all training groups would do. So that's my little, like, standing on a soapbox. Be better when you're in a training group. To everybody listening.
No, I totally agree. And again, just like, a land blind, here's the line to the blind, but I'm happy, she's not online, but you know what? She went 200 yards for me, and I'll blow the whistle and get her over there. More of the momentum, right?
Yep.
But back in the day, I would have like tweet,
Ping, ping, ping. Yep.
all the way down. But today, I'm like, yeah, man, thank you. Karen and I went, and I'll let you go, but Karen and I did a real quick little drill tonight. A momentum drill. I put 3 bumpers at it on a sand road. I'm on a mound back here. It's 250 yards, dead bird back. And she just freaking runs. She's going to find a bumper. I don't, she just went 250 yards without stopping. And I don't care that she didn't take the right line, but she found a bumper and she got success for running 250 yards without stopping.
Yeah. So that's all about what is your primary objective at that point. Yeah. And that's
she's a young dog.
I've done that same thing where I'm just like, I think I learned that from Doc and had a book about, that's how he taught blinds, is to teach them to go. Like, I think there's better ways to do it, but like at long distances, you can't do it. Like, I think white poles and buckets are way better to just keep moving further back and you'll break that wall. But eventually you get to where they can't really see them, like you're talking about. So you get those bumpers out there and you let them roll, and it's good confidence for them to get that momentum and realize, like, hey, sometimes it's, it's further than you think. It's breaking that wall that they, you've built up primarily through drills and your setups that they can handle at that point. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
And again, like at my age, maybe it was my mentality, not the people that I trained with, but like I would have, again, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, like I would have blown whistles the whole time. Like, it's just a totally different mindset of how I want to train today and how I trained then. That's all. Yeah. That's what I wanted to try. I was trying to get to my point.
And eventually you're going to blow a lot of those whistles because you need them to understand that you can be stopped that many times and it's okay. It's not the end of the 100%. World. But that's not where you're at, and that's awesome. So, or not where you at. What's where the dog is. So,
100%.
Jeff, man, Chris, this was fun, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna hang up here, but don't you leave because I want to talk about a few more things offline.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.